How are we doing, everybody? I am Jeff Hoke here with Kevin Perdios. Chris Henrique will be joining us soon. He is on his way home from an event. And this is episode 11 of Shorthanded Takes, a Boston Bruins podcast. And we actually just got done watching a Bruins game. Watching a Bruins game. I was watching the Revolution game because that's what everyone else was doing at the time. And obviously, it's a good thing we didn't watch the Bruins game. And we'll start with that one right off the bat. And while you're talking, I got to go grab my. I forgot my shocked energy read. Be nice to have that. So while I'm gonna leave it to you for a second, but they outshot Detroit 46-16, I believe it was, and they lost 2-1. The goal came from David Pastrnak. I'm going to leave it to you here for a second. Just explain to me. You saw the goals. You saw the recap before we came on today. Just give me a quick rundown of what you saw and what happened to the Bruins.
Yeah, it's same song and dance for the last 3 games. They are just defense, goaltending is flat out embarrassing. There's no other way to put it. It's embarrassing. It's a joke. It's shouldn't be accepted at what any terminology you want to use. It's not Bruins hockey, and it's not what Bruins fans are accustomed to watching and expect. You can't turn the puck over in the neutral zone. I know that's on Charlie Coyle. You got to be able to maintain the puck and have puck control, especially in the neutral zone, going through, trying to enter the offensive zone. Can't turn the puck over. With that said, you got to have that shot. You got to have that goal. You got to stop that. Can't allow that to go in the back of the net. The second goal, you heard my reaction when I first saw it. It's
Would you say you were shocked, like shocked energy?
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Nice little transition, huh?
Yeah. No. So before we go back to that, shocked energy, ever feel unable to focus, tired, and just low on energy? We understand that feeling. We understand it so well that a Shorthanded Takes, a Boston Bruins podcast brought to you by Couch Guys Sports is brought to you by the Couch Guys Sports Network and sponsored by our friends over at Shocked Energy. Head over to shockedenergy.com and use the promo code CGSN today for 10% off your order. And you can check out their green apple flavored box and even their watermelon flavored box. That is shockedenergy.com. And that's promo code CGSN today. 10% off your order. It is the holiday season, so it is a perfect time for you to get some for your family, your friends, or however you want to do that. We're also brought to you by Exo-Gun. Back to that really quick while we're still waiting for Chris Henrique. I don't want to get too deep into the Linus Ullmark thing because we're going to get into it a little bit later. It seems to be on and off with him. The last couple of games, you've seen some goals go in because of the defense, and you've seen some bad rebounds by Linus Ullmark, and you've seen the same thing with Jeremy Swayman too. But I don't want to use he's a rookie thing because it gets kind of tired and it's a cliche at this point because you are in the NHL now. You are a true NHL goalie. You've had enough playing time where you should not have to say that, this kid's a rookie, cut him some slack. We're at that point where you shouldn't be doing that now. But Linus Ullmark is a veteran, and you signed this man to a 4-year deal, a lot of money, and you can't be letting in goals rebounding off your stick or however. It's not as bad as the Jordan Binnington goal that went in today. That was just unlucky. But with the whole Linus thing, they just haven't been playing well at all. And we'll get into a little bit later once Chris gets here, but just let's go over the last couple of games too. I mean, they lost 5-2 to the Rangers on Black Friday. They obviously won that game against Canucks 3-2. And then they won that game against Buffalo that Tuesday. That Wednesday after we taped on that Tuesday. What have you seen? It's been kind of an up and down thing with this team lately.
Yeah, it's I'm I'm going to take the 98.5, the Sports Hub approach, and cherry pick on the games to prove my point. But I'm going to ignore the Buffalo game and pick on the last 3 games. And it's, to put it simply, if there's any Letterkenny fans out there, which is a hockey show on Hulu, it's fucking embarrassing. All right. Even the Vancouver game, you win the game and it's like, oh my God. If I'm Cassidy, I'm getting in that locker room even after the Vancouver game, and I'm ripping them a new one. They are not playing good hockey, period. If you want to go down the list of the last 3 games, it's the same. You can really sum it up in the same 3 things. Defense is terrible. Goaltending's got to be better. You can't allow that many rebounds. All right. So you can't allow that many rebounds. And that said, the defensive side, clear someone out from in front of the net, please. Get them out of there. Like, can someone for once just body someone? Like, get them out of the front of the net.
They seem to be, they don't seem to be the hard hitting team they have been in the past years when it comes to stuff like that. And you saw, I think it was on, was it that Buffalo game or was it the Rangers game where Charlie McAvoy just got bodied into the, he had to have stitches in his eye because of it.
Yeah, I think it was the Rangers.
Yeah,
I could be wrong. I'm not sure.
And he obviously bodied another guy, which wasn't acceptable either. But the point being is these guys are getting hit, but when they get hit, they're not retaliating against these hits, and you're letting these guys into your zone so softly that it's making your defense look even worse than it should. And your defense is already pretty bad as it is. Yeah, I mean, we are what, 8, 9, not even 8, 9. We're double-digit games into the season now. And Matt, you haven't even heard from Matt Grzelcyk. You just gave him or Brandon Carlo. You just signed these guys to massive deals, and here we are now. They're not making any kind of contribution to this team right now, as it is.
Yeah, it's like you said. You kind of until you even brought him up, it's like, oh yeah, we haven't heard anything from Grzelcyk. Like, oh yeah, that guy's still on this team.
Oh yeah, that's right. We signed that guy to a massive fucking deal.
Kind of forgot about that for a minute. Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah,
I just, the New York Rangers game, going back to it, I said before, they're a scrappy team that if you stay close with them, you're in trouble. And I think the Bruins allowed the Rangers to hang around. And sure enough, we get blown out 5-2. You allowed them to just kind of keep playing their game, keep being there instead of capitalizing on your opportunities to put them away. The Vancouver game, yeah, we won, but you can't change my mind on this, that Halak outplayed Allmark. And that's definitely. It wasn't close.
The last two Sundays, former Bruins goalies have outplayed both of the goalies.
Yeah.
You had Allmark this last Sunday against Halak, and then you had Vladar versus Swayman the Sunday before. And obviously Vladar put up the shutout 4-0 on that Calgary game.
Yeah. So, I mean, remind me how did even Halak, we traded him, right? Or did he sign?
No, he left at the end of the.
What's he getting paid?
I think not much. If anything,
it's like, and when he was here, everyone loved him. Like, I was fine with Halak as my backup. I was fine with that. I thought he 100% would have been able to hold down the fort until if and when Tuukka comes back and takes over that starting role again. Especially we'll get into it a little later, so I don't want to fully go into it, but I think if you go into it, it's clear to everyone who's the odd man out here. Well, I shouldn't say it's clear, but
but Swayman has the entry-level contract still, so you can send him down without having to send him through waivers. And that with Providence, he's going to be the starting goalie with the caliber that he is at anyway, so he's going to be getting that playing time that he's usually gotten.
The other kind of point I wanted to make is this offsides replay is such a joke. It's such a joke. Like, I know it went both ways, and one of them was on an empty net that they got called back. And
that was just a stupid challenge as it was. Why would you? Right. There was like 30 seconds left at that point.
It's like, dude, this is a joke. That I know we got one back we did it first. My take on it is, if you should be able to challenge it if the play results immediately in a goal. Like if it's a 2-on-1 and the second guy's offsides, the far guy's offsides, and then he ends up scoring the goal. Yeah, you should be able to challenge that. But if you come into the zone and then set up a play and execute it, and the whole defensive team is back in the zone, the offsides had nothing to do with that goal. It's you shouldn't be able to challenge that. We need to get rid of that. We need to that needs to be fixed, period. So that's kind of like, for my take, even more of why I say that Vancouver game was a joke. We almost lost to Vancouver. Can we
I was hoping they were riding in the streets after that.
Oh my God, can we let that sink in? If it wasn't for a dumb replay rule, we would have lost to the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah. No, and I do want to move on for a second. Chris should be coming on in a minute. Now he's just getting back, but I want to move on to a certain player now, because there's two incidents that apparently, one happened in that Vancouver game and the other one happened on the Black Friday game, Thanksgiving game. Brad Marchand, and they missed him terribly today. They missed Brad Marchand was missed horribly today, and it was you could tell. And Antoine Bleed also was missed terribly today as well. And obviously, we always say David Krejci was also missed. But David Krejci, nothing you can do about that at the moment. The other two, though, Brad Marchand suspended 3 games for slew-footing Oliver Ekman-Larsson on Sunday against the Vancouver Canucks. How do I put it? It wasn't even a call. That's the confusing part. It wasn't even called a penalty. That's the whole thing about it. They just let him play on, and they reviewed it later, and basically, for all you new hockey fans, slew footing is just an aggressive kind of tripping. You're just tripping someone very aggressively. And, it kind of just looked like they were getting into a tussle together. If you're asking me, it didn't really look like a lot. Maybe he uppercutted him a little bit, but it didn't really look like he did it much to really suspend him. But once again, he's Brad Marchand, and, he has that name now in the NHL where, he's going to get these kind of things. Yet if you're Tom Wilson, though, you're going to not get anything for boarding. So let's start off with, but before we get to that part, I want to get to the fun part. And that was the Panarin glove toss and the little spat him and Panarin had during the game on Thanksgiving, where apparently apparently it was said today that he said no one in Russia likes you. And no one likes Russia, and he tossed his glove at him because of that. So what was your take on that? Obviously, it was a funny thing to see, and Panarin did get fined the minimum $5,000 for it. So what was your take on that game as a whole? Because they really they looked good for the first 2 periods, and as Bruce Cassidy said in the post-game show, they kind of pissed it away in that third period.
Yeah, and I think he, credit to Bruce Cassidy. In the way my brain's going to work is I'm going to work backwards right now. So from the last thing you said to the first thing you said, but yeah, credit to Bruce Cassidy. He doesn't really sugarcoat things. He criticized people when they need to be criticized, and I think that's how it should be. I'm as a high school coach myself, I kind of take that same approach. Guys, we need to be better, and if Jimmy's not playing up to expectations, I'm going to let him know, hey, you got to figure it out, man. Bottom line, nothing's a secret. You know exactly where you stand. You got to kind of figure it out. And, the whole outcome of that game, and it like he said, it got away from him. You had him for the first 2 periods, and then you decided to fall asleep. And average to good teams are going to make you pay for that. And that's exactly what happened. I'm not going to say, they're a Stanley Cup contender by any means, but they're a solid team. They're on the rebuild. They're on the up and coming. They're going to be there for the next few years, so they got some promising hockey ahead of them. And they're a good team, and that's what good teams are going to do to you. And if they're doing that to you right now, what do you think the Lightning are going to do to you in 2 months, 3 months?
I mean, they play the
the
Lightning next
whole the
Saturday.
whole. So there you go. Right, next
So
Saturday.
next
That's
Saturday
a
they're
little
gonna get
taste. That's the Herb Brooks scheduling to scrimmage Russia 2 days before the Olympics. They kind of, that's that type of approach. We're gonna get a taste of that. Hey guys, this is the team to beat. Let's see where we stand. But the whole glove throwing approach, and it's perfectly summed up as, Marchand is doing what Marchand needs to do and what he started to do, and is just kind of aggravate people. Just get back to let's start aggravating people. Let's kind of start getting under their skin a little bit. Let them get their focus off the game. But unfortunately,
It didn't work.
his suspension is questionable, yes, but I think it was the NHL saying, "Cut the shit." You have a lot. He has a lot of hits, incidents, whatever you want to call it, that are like that just go kind of by the wayside.
I think
I think that was the NHL being like, you know what, enough's enough.
Yeah,
we're gonna crack down on this one because you continue to do this.
And I think the biggest issue with that whole suspension thing was the fact that, it wasn't a penalty on the ice. So why are you reviewing it in the first place? Usually you're only going to review, stuff like that if it's a penalty. It seems like the NFL too. It appears the NHL kind of, just went out of its way to, kind of do this and, slapped us, because you heard Bruce Cassidy in his press conference prior, after the game, saying, it's probably just gonna be a fine or something, but it'd probably be nothing. Next thing you know, it's 3 games. Even Jack and Brickley were shocked that, it even came down to that.
Yeah, I think, in this goes back to my original take on, how I wish hockey was played is how it was played, even 5 years ago, where you have the Sean Thorntons of the world, that incidents like that, where there's, little things that the refs miss, flat out the refs missed that play, and that's probably why it didn't get called. But if they have the Sean Thorntons of the world, or the, I know Milan Lucic is still in the NHL, but that style of that enforcer-esque guy is no longer there. You can't police yourselves, so you get these weird suspensions that everyone's like, wait a minute, what? Why did he get suspended? And we have to go back and look at YouTube or whatever it is to find out. And sure enough, you're like, oh, okay, it's borderline, whatever. But you missed it during the course of the game because it wasn't called. And I think when you take out the enforcers, that's what happens. You gotta, I think they need to come back. Bottom line, I think that's a game of hockey. You need to have the ability to police yourselves, and the game is so fast and so quick that everything happens in a split second, and there's a lot of stuff that's going to get missed. So having the ability to have that enforcer-esque type guy on your team to police themselves is, I think, a huge aspect of what hockey's missing.
And funny enough, when he comes back in 3 games, it will be next Wednesday against the Vancouver Canucks. I believe that's in Vancouver, so that will be an interesting game. Return for obviously Brad Marchand and all that stuff.
And Frederick is going to have a fight in that game, I think.
Oh, I hope so. I really hope so. That would be
someone's going to have to answer. Right?
He's looked really good lately too. Honestly, he's been one of the bright spots to these last couple losses. If you're looking at, he looked really good on Sunday in the win against Vancouver. He's looked good the last couple days, and he's kind of slid into that role that Bleed was in because he got injured.
Yeah.
That's been kind of a good role for him to pick up. I'm kind of going back to today while we're waiting. I'm kind of surprised Jeremy Swayman didn't start today. You know, it's today, Wednesday, and the last game was on Sunday. So I mean, today's Monday. Or today's
No,
Tuesday.
today's Tuesday.
My
Tuesday.
good God, what is going on with me today? So it's Tuesday night, and it was usually you one day off in between. Usually you would go to Swayman. I wonder. I'm kind of curious why they chose Allmark over Swayman for this game. You'd think a team like Detroit at home, where he has an 8-1 record. He's only lost one game, and that was the Flames game. You would think you want to go to your hot-handed rookie.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's at that point. It's at the point right now, at least in the goaltending category, that's kind of there's no clear winner. There's no clear number one guy right now. And especially the last 3-4 games, they both have looked pretty bad overall. So yeah, you can look back and why isn't Swayman starting? Why isn't what he should be the one in net? He has, like you said, the hot hand. My take on it is I think Cassidy's like, well, we paid this dude. You want us to play him? Here we go.
And this is what you're gonna get.
This is what we're getting out of it. So
yeah,
2 months from now, if everything continues, and I say, hey, this guy stinks, we need to get rid of him, I have some evidence to back it up. I think that's what it's. Cassidy's kind of like, Swayman could suck just as much. So, if neither of you guys really want to take the number one job, fine. I'm going to go with what management wants. And 3 months from now, 2 months from now, whenever, the trade deadline or whatever it is rolls around, I have evidence to back up me saying, this guy sucks. We need to get rid of him.
Yeah, no, definitely. And, it's all part of that, trade deadline thing. And you got plenty of time to, kind of get a sample size of what each one can do, kind of give you a chance to kind of look at what Tuukka Rask, where he is. And I think Don Sweeney said the other day, he's looking pretty good. He's on track to come back on time. And when the time comes, they were going to look into it and see what was best for the team. But the biggest thing was that you have that Olympic break in February. And so you'll have all that time off. So really, hypothetically speaking, Rask wouldn't come back until at least March because of how everything's working out. So that gives you plenty of time to kind of get a little bit of a, feeler for what you want to do with the goalie situation. And obviously the clear answer right now is to send Jeremy Swayman down. And, because like I said, he's on an entry level contract. You don't have to send him through waivers. It's a little bit harder to trade a 5-year, $40 million contract. So
yeah.
Especially in the NHL.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Swayman's going to be the one that, if it remains as close as a competition as it is, he's going to be the one that's out because it's easier. We can send him down. That's a lot easier than trying to flip a $40 million contract. So unless Swayman in the next coming months just says, F it, this guy ain't taking the job, I'm going to go completely separate myself from him and dominate, come March or whenever they decide to really make a move, if they make a move, if everything continues this way, Swayman will be the one sent down.
So really quick, I want to go over our sponsors again. This is Short End Takes episode 11, a Boston Bruins podcast brought to you by Couch Guy Sports and brought to you by Shocked Energy. Ever feel unable to focus, tired and low on energy like we are right now? Not really. We are very excited and ready to go right now. We understand that feeling. We understand it so well that this podcast is brought to you by the Couch Guy Sports Network and sponsored by our friends over at Shocked Energy. Shocked Energy is a drink for gamers made by gamers. You can head over to shockedenergy.com and use the promo code CGSN today for 10% off your order. Check out the green apple flavored box or even their watermelon flavored box. And especially this holiday season where you can get a gift for your family members. This is a great gift to get for your friends or your siblings or your loved ones that are gamers. And don't worry, they ship worldwide. That's right, worldwide. Get your Shocked Energy today. Let us help you gain your focus and energy back. We are also brought to you by Exogun, the massage gun that is just an amazing tool for what I am told. So that being said, I'm going to jump into this while we are still waiting for Chris. And it's not a big deal. I can just ask him when he comes in. Anyway, we're going to go over the elephant in the room. And I know Kevin has a take on this. I'm not going to go over the question just yet. There is a question I want to pose. I'm waiting for Chris to pose this question because I want to hear his take on it too. But I'm going to start with over the weekend, Jake Debrusk it was announced by Jake Debrusk's agent that the 2015 first round pick had requested a trade. He has won. This is his last year of his contract before he becomes a restricted free agent. He said it was said today by Taylor Hall after the game that, Jake Debrusk said he loves the team. He loves everyone on the team, but he thought that this was the right decision for his career going forward. On the ice tonight, he was playing because of the whole Providence Bruins thing. They're going through a whole COVID situation right now. They can't call anyone up. They can't send anyone down. Everyone's in lockdown down there right now. So what you have on the team right now, unless you call it from the ECHL, which is right down in Portland, Maine, the Maine Mariners, and then you're stuck with what you got. That being said, so on the ice tonight, he played about 10 minutes. I think he had one shot, one blocked shot. So, and he got booed. He was booed very much so on the ice tonight. First things first, I'll ask you, were the boos credited? Should they have booed him?
No. It's easy to say yes, right? Like, all right, a player comes out, an underperforming player comes out and says he wants to leave the city that drafted him, that he spent his career here, or the early part of his career here. He's only 25. There's probably still plenty of hockey left in his career, but I don't think so, because in case you guys haven't noticed, Boston's a tough place to play. The minute you give us a glimpse of like what your ceiling is and what your max potential is, we hold you to that standard, to the end. And he showed us in 2018 that his max potential, borderline 30 goal scorer, 68 games played. He put 27 pucks in the back of the net. Ever since then, it's been downhill, and we've been all over him, rightfully so or not. You can debate that in of itself. I look at his numbers and I'm kind of like, this guy's, a 30 goal scorer is a first line guy, right? That's kind of what you think of. He's not. He's a second, third line guy, and that's what he's going to be for the rest of his career. And I think that's what he is and what he'll continue to be, no matter what of a change of scenery. And he's probably feeling a lot more pressure behind closed doors, because Sweeney is probably giving this dude too much of a leash, because once he leaves, it's that glaring thing. Well, you got zip out of the 2015 draft now. You got nothing out of them. So what's that kind of is another black spot on Sweeney's GM record. So I think there could have been stuff behind closed doors as well. That's he's feeling pressure. He's the only guy that came out of that draft. Everyone knows, you have 3 picks in a row and you whiff on all 3 is, I don't want to say Debrusk's a whiff, but you know what I mean. So I don't think you boo him. I think, he's a kid. He's 25. He's young. Like you said, he's entering his final year of his contract. If the season ended today, 17 games in, he has 3 goals, 3 assists. That's not who he is. Yes, he's off to a slow start. I think he's going to end this year, whether it be in a Bruins uniform or somewhere else, with 20 goals. We're right between 18 and 20 goals on the year, and that's a solid second, third line player.
Now I know I'm throwing.
So
I'm gonna throw.
Sad to hear it, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw a curveball at you really quick because I didn't ask you this question on the rundown or anything, and my internet connection is all over the place right now. So what are the ideal other than the team I mentioned in the question? We're not going to give that away.
Yep.
What are the teams that you feel could use a player or revive a player like Jake Debrusk?
A non-contender. So, and what I mean by that is, he needs to be shipped to a team that is currently in some form of a rebuild, right? Where he's gonna get a ton of minutes. Like he's gonna be playing, 20 minutes, 20 plus minutes a game, and by doing so, he's gonna find the back of the net. He needs an environment that's just going to allow him to constantly go play, good, bad, and ugly, and a team that doesn't have playoff expectations, isn't expecting to win the Stanley Cup this year. Just a team that's going to allow him to go out and be who he is and be who he could be and try to max out his potential. So I'm trying to think now off the top of my head.
While you're thinking, I actually got an update on my phone from Evan Marinovsky of CLNS Media, retweeting what Elliot Friedman said 7 minutes ago. Nothing's happened yet. Don't worry.
Shit.
That would have been so cool though.
Yeah,
we would have broke it right on the podcast.
Yeah.
That would have been fantastic. So Friedman reports that there is a lot of interest from the Blues, the St. Louis Blues, regarding Jake Debrusk. He also mentions a good trade fit would be with the Kraken for Mason Appleton.
Meh.
But I mean, you could, but you could also probably add get another piece out of it that's not Mason Appleton, but that's the trade. You have to remember, you don't have any leverage on this trade.
Yeah, you got nothing.
You got nothing. You're literally shipping for probably a sack of pucks at this point.
And that's what's gonna suck, because watch, he's gonna get traded. He's gonna end the year with 25 goals, because he's gonna be, let's hypothetically play this out and say he goes to Seattle, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, they're gonna be like, all right, first line, go play, do your thing, and he's gonna accidentally run into 10 goals, 10 additional goals to what he will normally score. And everyone's going to turn around and, look, Sweeney screwed this trade up too. This is going to come back on Sweeney again. But I think Seattle's a great trade partner. I don't know, like you said, we don't hold the cards here, a bag of pucks.
Could send Jeremy Lauzon back.
Yeah. If you're dealing with the Kraken, I think you just go, just give us some draft picks and we'll go from there. And
I don't really know what you get out of the Blues though. The Blues are a playoff contender right now. I believe they're pretty high up in the standings right now.
But how does he help them?
I would have to
Krug. Does are him and Krug really good friends where now he's in an environment? I don't know. I don't see the Blues
see what they say.
being really of a fit. You send us a fourth line guy back, third line guy back. I don't know. Do they have a guy over there that's looking for a change of scenery as well, where you're trying to just do each of them a solid?
Hold on, this
Um,
article has a lot of
lot of
Canadians,
ads, yeah.
well, ads and Canadian, the Canadian stuff.
Could send us
Okay,
old friend Torrey Krug back. Do us a favor.
yeah, 1-for-1.
Yeah.
They investigated it last summer. Boston would like to accommodate it, but their unstable roster situation makes things trickier. St. Louis has been rumored the destination for a while, for example, but but there's a lot of interest. This is a personal brainstorm, but I wonder if there's a fit in Seattle in a Mason Appleton type move. Appleton found his okay, so he wouldn't be trading for Mason Appleton, but it's kind of like that Mason Appleton trade to Winnipeg last season, where he kind of found his niche. But it's been harder with the Kraken. Debrusk will be a restricted free agent with the arbitration rights and a qualifying offer at the end of the season, and that's about $4 million. So, and I mean, the Kraken don't really have a lot of good players on the roster.
Yeah, they
I'm not
I
saying
don't know,
yeah.
These are such hard, especially in the NHL, where you look at like a Taylor Hall situation where he's kind of like, nope, I'm going to where I want to go, and you guys are going to get whatever you can, and I hold all the cards. DeBrusk is obviously, I'm not saying he's Taylor Hall, but in that similar type of situation where, all right, I hold all the cards here, guys. Like, everyone knows I want out, so they're not gonna give you their A+ offer. They're gonna give you the C offer, D offer, even. It's sad. I am like, I'm starting to get heartbroken seeing them go, because I know he's about to go off wherever he goes.
And I think the atmosphere, I was telling you this before we went on, and Jeff Hoke here with Kevin Perdios waiting on Chris Henrique, who's in the middle of some stuff right now, and there's nothing wrong with that. We are holding down the fort just well. But I was talking about before the show, and you were asking me my thoughts on why Jake Debrusk's downfall really started. You named off his goal scoring seasons. He had, I think, a 27 and 15, I think it was, or something like that. Goal score seasons in his first two seasons, and kind of went downhill after that. Didn't have anything really during the COVID year. And I kind of said that, first things first, I will admit, coming out of the 2015 draft, I was never a Jake Debrusk fan. I will come out and say that straightforward. I like the kid. Don't get me wrong. I just didn't think, any of those three picks were good. And we discussed that already in a podcast. So that being said, I was saying that, the crowd the fans in Boston are a different breed. And when you do not live up to the expectations you do in the first two seasons of your career, and you start to go downhill a little bit, the fans are going to let you hear it. And, he started his career on the third line, and that's where he got all of his goals. He needed help on the second line at the time, so you're going to pull him up to the second line. And then you found the fit in the third line. I don't remember who it was, but you found that fit in the third line. So you had everything set now. You have everything set. Everything was working well. You moved him up to the second line, a little more pressure on him to score. He didn't live up to those expectations. And now you're kind of looking at it like, couldn't you move him back to the third line? You could, but you just signed some of these guys that you brought in this year to be on that third line. And, you have players like Trent Frederick that are doing well, can play on the third line. You have all these guys that can play on the third line, and, you need that second line center. That's the biggest thing. And I'm not saying Jake Debrusk is that second line center, but you got to shift someone into that second line center. And then you got to have Debrusk play the wing. And I think there was so much pressure on him, and the hype was so real for him coming out, because the way we drafted this year, that 2015 season, there was so much hype, because now you look back You have the Barzals and the Ahos and all of those guys coming out now, and they're absolute studs. And what did you get out of the draft? And those 3 straight picks that Barzal was picked after. So you could have had him.
Yeah, and I think the point, I think why Debrusk is now doing this, especially, is the way this whole roster is constructed. You got your first line, and then you got your third line. You know what I mean? Like you got, your weakness has always been that third line. I mean, that second line, excuse me. And you address the second line issue by going and signing and a bunch of third line players and forcing some guys to play on the second line when they're not second line forwards. And that's, like it or not, like, I don't know. Like, I don't blame, I half and half blame Debrusk. Like, I understand what he's doing. I understand his thought process. But at the same time, it's kind of like, this is on Sweeney too, dude. This is another feather in the cap of Sweeney's on the hot seat / if not, should already be out the door. My thought, this dude's screwed the pooch on numerous occasions, and he's lucky that Taylor Hall basically fell to him. It's just, it's tough. It's tough.
So with that being said, we are going to take a break. And when we come back, Chris Henrique will be with us. So like I said, we will be right back after the break. This is Shorthanded Takes, a Boston Bruins podcast, episode 11, brought to you by Couch Guys Sports and Shocked Energy. Use the promo code today, CGSN, for your 10% off your order at shockedenergy.com. When we return, Chris Henrique will be back with us to run down the big question that I have for you guys. And, it's an interesting question that I want to pose, and we will pose that coming up next after this break.